Maybe Clevelanders can't agree on everything these days, but the one thing we can agree on is Cleveland loves a good draft. We know Cleveland baseball fans love to talk prospects too. Today, you get the best of both worlds. It's the third annual Lockdown Guardians Prospect Draft.
Tanner Bobby the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Does Cleveland love Hannah Montana, the best of both worlds, too? That's the real question we should be answering today. Does Cleveland love Hannah Montana? I drafted Tanner Bybee in the first annual Cleveland Guardians prospect draft back in 2023. This is Locked On Guardians. Thank you for tuning in. Today, it's our third annual prospect draft. Jeff and I will draft a team of prospects. We'll see who does a better job. We'll see what our fans and listeners think. We'll talk some prospects. It'll be a lot of fun. Before we get going on that today, we want you to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONLB to get $20 off that first Game Time purchase. I'm Justin Latta, and I have been watching and covering and writing about and talking about Cleveland Guardians prospects all the way back since 2007, the days of Nick Weglars and Ryan Eder and Ryan Goleski. It's been a long time.
Ryan
Edel
and
Ryan Edel, yes. Adam Davis. Yeah, there's a lot of names that go back. Matt McBride. Covering the Guardians minor league system since 2007. Guardians Baseball Insider, News Herald, Morning Journal, Prospects Live, next year in Cleveland.substack.com. And here with you for our favorite half hour of the day where we talk Cleveland Guardians baseball every day on the Lockdown Podcast Network. Your team every day. And you are who?
I don't know. Listen, we're recording late, so I'm gonna blame that for I'm no one. I'm Jeff Ellis. I've been here for a long time, talking about baseball, writing about baseball. It's gotten 24/7 on prospects in the draft. So both of these things, as well as being your 51st favorite blogger at every Cleveland sports blog that has or will exist.
51st. Yeah, there might be more. Who knows? Jeff, back in 2023, we did this first annual draft. Do you want to know who my catcher was that year? Do you want to know who the first pick was?
Well, I believe I probably went Ralphy if I had the first pick because we said there were no catchers in the system.
2020. This is 2023.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Was it Bo Naylor then?
You took Bo Naylor,
number one.
I took Tanner Bybee, number two.
Yeah,
but you know who my catcher was because you took David Fry and Brian Lavacita.
I did. I took everyone. So were you Manny Mejias?
I took Jose Cedeno.
Oh, that's right.
We were talking off air last year's draft how bad we did because neither one of us took Cade Smith a year ago. I had Cade Smith 2 years ago. Does that count? Can I say that I was early on Cade Smith?
No.
I was early on Angel Hanao. I had him as my 23rd pick into 2023. You were early on David Fry.
I was. It's
you took Parker Messick that year, so you can say you were early on Parker Messick.
There's a few guys that
you had Parker Messick last year too, actually.
I've had so I got to get him this year to complete the trifecta. It's just it's fun. I will say this: like people have talked about how much they've enjoyed me hosing Justin, and I did it last year by taking Cooper Ingle as an outfielder because he had been one in college. But I don't think
not this year.
I don't think this is the year where you can hose people because the depth is so good in this system that there isn't really an area where if you don't get someone, you're like scraping the barrel. And that's a nice change. It's a very, very deep system. It's a very interesting system. There's fun players up and down. Even when you get into those late 20s, there's some guys who are interesting. I know a year ago you drafted Rafael Ramirez, who ended up, being part of the trade pieces because he's interesting. But I would take Luis Morejo over Rafael Ramirez if you're looking at that late guy with an interesting profile. Even that part of this draft ranking is much better to me than a year ago. So even if you want to get super in the weeds, it's fun to see that and see that improvement in this system.
Yeah, there's better depth for sure. This is by far the best farm system that we've done. This is our third draft, and this is the best the farm system's been in this draft. I mean, we took some tough, interesting players a year ago. I ended up with team trade. I had I had Rafael Ramirez and I had Alex Clemmy a year ago, and neither one of us took Jacob Bresnahan a year ago, so didn't see that coming. You took you were still team injury a year ago. You had Daniel Espino. You had Franco Alamon, who spent a lot of time on the IL last year. You had George Valera, who just is, again, team injury. You want to count Joey Cantillo missed the first part of the year. You were still team injury a year ago.
Yeah. Did either of us take Peterson a year ago? Neither of us took Austin Peterson, right?
Peterson. No. I took Kyle Manzar with my first pick a year ago because you took Ralphie. So I'm going to say I liked my team better last year because I also had Chourio and I also had Chase Slaughter, that was my team injury. Also, although I took Jacob Zivin too, he missed most of the year. How about this?
All year, right? He's still yet to throw a professional pitch, isn't he? Same as Justin Campbell.
Yeah. I took Hunter Gaddis as a starter a year ago. How about that? And I also took Walters and Heron. So I'm going to take credit for those two guys last year because I drafted those guys a year ago. I would say your best pick, was probably either Cooper Ingle or CJ Kafis from a year ago. You did take Messick, so that was a good one.
I will say, surprisingly, I was pretty good on underrated the guys who broke out last year because Kafis, Messick, and Ingle were all guys who had a nice jump. So I'll take that. You can ignore those early picks. Just look at the guys who succeeded.
If you are an insider with Locked On Guardians, you can see the spreadsheets from the past years that we've done this. It's already uploaded into the drive. If you want to become an insider, the link is on your YouTube screen. It's also in the show description. It's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGuardians. You get visuals from our podcast. You get some bonus prospect content. You get some bonus videos, leftovers, exclusive mailbags, all that fun stuff. And you get to chat with me during games. We'll talk during games when news happens. Always available to do that. So sign up to be a Locked On Guardians insider. Okay, so how this works is we draft a full team of 9 players, including, DH. We draft 5 starting pitchers. We draft 2 relievers. And the listeners get to decide who has the better team. I don't have the results of that from the past year. I'm sure I can find it, but I'm just going to say that the listeners voted for my team the last 2 years because I'm looking at the roster. No, it's not true. 2023.
I won 1 year.
You know what?
I had you 1 year.
No, I had to have the first year because my first team had Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, and Logan Allen, and Cade Smith. It also included Justin Campbell and Jack Leftwich, so that wasn't great. But I had the big 3 pitching prospects, and I had Cade Smith. So
yeah, but you had no bats to make up for that.
No, I didn't. I had Angel Hanau and George Valera, so it was rough. To be fair, your best bat that year was probably Bo Naylor or Jason Chourio or David Fry, but David Fry was not up in 2023 at that point. So, all right. So yeah, we draft a full team. We just kind of use it as a way to talk about our favorite prospects, guys we wish we could have had, guys we do have. So with that being said, Jeff, you have the first pick this year. I think this is the most obvious pick of the last 3 seasons.
So I have to take Parker Mess. I'm kidding.
The helium is really there for Parker Messick right now.
Bazana, move on. We've talked about him enough. Everyone knows. I'm taking Travis. Go read the article in The Athletic about his never-ending drive. I like how at the end of that article with Zach, they were like, well, maybe someday he's going to take in too much information. They made it sound like he's going to be like an information explosion or it could overwhelm him. But go read that article by Zach. It's fantastic. It's more of what we talked about this kid just being the most unbelievable work ethic. I don't think he knows that things exist outside of baseball. I honestly, has anyone checked to see, does he have a girlfriend? Does he know girls exist? I don't know if he does. I can make confirm that. I once talked with a parent whose child is a college baseball player who's like, he's never even had a girlfriend. He just focused on baseball. I'm like, okay, that's good to know. But it's the obvious pick here, but you get the next 2, which I think for the first time ever, it might be more valuable to be in Justin's position this year.
I think so. No one's ever said that before. No, Travis Bazana does have a girlfriend. I've seen. I know he likes to golf. I know he likes a good steak. He told me last year on his birthday that he was hoping to have a good steak. They played an early day game on his birthday a year ago. So in Lake County, yeah, the guy is just wired different. This is why we were. The smoke on JJ Weatherholt a year ago was pretty funny at the last.
As my students say, he is built different.
He really is. If you Google the definition of built different, it would just say Travis Bazana. next to it. Like, there's no such thing as a sure thing. But if Travis Bazana is not like, I'm not going to say a superstar. Like, we're not talking like, are we talking Fernando Tatis? Are we talking?
I mean, the most common
Jackson
high-end comp
Chourio?
was Chase Utley,
who is a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah, which is a lot to put on any kid. I hate saying that because that's
like, a lot.
That's probably too much, but like at the same time, like you got to acknowledge that's the one we heard the most.
I think we have to talk about a goal for this draft. Do we want to have the guys who have the best year in 2025? Do we want guys who are going to debut? Like, what's your end goal for your team?
I'm putting together the best team I can, like the team that I think is going to be the best players eventually.
Long-term future, yeah, I think so. I think I have to agree with that as well. All right, so I have the next 2 picks. Who am I going to take now that I don't have the chance to get Travis Bazana? I'm going to throw some interesting names out there. It's going to frustrate Jeff, but it's going to talk about some very fun players. That is all coming up on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians. Speaking of built different, things are built different when you buy the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades. That is Supply House, of course. If you're in plumbing, HVAC, you're doing electrical work, Supply House is the absolute most reliable way to order products online. Not prospects, products. Their easy-to-use website has so many helpful resources. They have the latest product info. They're going to help you get the job done right. They have an inventory of over 200,000 parts with over 400 top brands. You're going to find exactly what you need every time. It's going to be delivered fast from coast to coast, no matter where you're at. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert and industry-leading service. So you're always going to talk to a real person. You don't have to talk to a chatbot. You don't have to worry about prompts. Always a real person. Trade pros who are looking for an extra edge, they have a free Trade Master program that offers extra perks, like a dedicated phone line for your business, free shipping, discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. So now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, if you use our promo code SH5, you're going to get 5% off your first order. That is supplyhouse.com. And make sure you're also checking out getting your tickets from Game Time. There is nothing like the energy of an MLS match. The chance, the atmosphere, the last-minute goals. If you want to experience it all live, Game Time makes getting tickets to any event easier. Last-minute deals, all-in pricing, lowest price guarantee. The things I love about Game Time. Takes the guesswork out of buying all tickets, MLS, MLB, college basketball. Plus, ticket prices drop as the kickoff gets closer, so you can score amazing seats at great prices. Make sure you're checking it ahead of all the basketball tournaments coming up. They're playing in Cleveland. It's easy and affordable. You check the app for deals. You get seat views to show exactly where you're going to sit. There's event cancellation protection. You know, I also love the all-in pricing, so you know exactly what you're paying to get into whatever event you want to go to. There's a lot going on in Cleveland right now. There's good comedians coming. There's the tournament. There's baseball coming up. There's a lot of reasons to use Game Time. And you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and the app. So create your account. Use our code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account. Redeem our code LOCKEDONMLB to get $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices. That is guaranteed. All right. So the next two picks in the draft now. I'm going to have to go with one of them. Easy. I think the easy one here to go on the list is Angel Henao. I think I have to go with Henao because he, to me, is the second best prospect in the system. And the only concerns I have with Henao are this. He's a bit of an aggressive swinger in the box. He likes to swing the bat, but he makes a lot of contact. And for a guy who doesn't walk a ton, he still has a very patient approach. So I will say that. The exit velocities ago, we talked about this on the spring breakout recap show. This is a guy who doesn't have necessarily the biggest frame, and we've talked a lot in the past about shortstops on this team, and the Brian Rocchio build, and Brian Rocchio's fine, whatever, but Brian Rocchio I don't think has ever hit a ball as hard as Angel Henao has that I saw last year. And Henao flies. Like, the weird thing with Rocchio is he's not that fast, right? Like, the sprint speeds were not great a year ago, strangely enough. Angel Henao flies out of the box. Like, it's easy to me. Double plus run times. He's going to stay at shortstop, I believe. I think it's a very easy number 2 prospect in the system. I'm not going to go with my number 3 prospect on the list. I'm going to jump down my list a little bit, and I'm going to take my favorite pitcher in the system. That's Braylon Doughty at the next pick. The helium is just so far up on Braylon Doughty right now. This is a guy who, you talk about Travis Bazana being built different. I think Braylon Doughty, I'm not saying he's the Travis Bazana of pitchers in this system, but he might be. The guy has all the character and the upside and the work ethic that you could want. He's a little bit undersized, so there is a concern about that. Like, there is a little bit undersized there, but he's athletic. Did we say Braylon Doughty is like a great scratch golfer, and also I think can kick a field goal from like 40 yards or something? Like, the guy is just super athletic, and now he's going to focus on pitching for the first time in his entire life, just exclusively. I think this guy's going to put the work in. The stuff's already there. The feel for spin's already there. I cannot wait. I am going to be tuned into a lot of his starts in Lynchburg this year. I think he's going to pitch in Lynchburg. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're on mute, so I guess you're forfeiting your next pick. So that's cool. Thank you.
Sorry,
I will go take my next pick.
I agree with you. Like, Doughty is kind of, I think, head and shoulders the best pitching prospect, and I don't know. I have tiers on my list, and I'm very close to putting Doughty at 6 and putting him in that top tier of 5 players that I have in the system. Part of me even is tempted is to put him as high as 5. So I get it. I definitely get it there. And Janao is, to me, the easy number 2. The number 3 in the system is who I'm going to pop here, Jason Chourio. I think if he didn't get hurt, like, he would be, uniformly the number 2 or 3 guy in the system in every rank. Him being on the board makes this an easy selection here. The ability as a center fielder, ability as a hitter, I just think it's a complete package. Hopefully it's going to be my younger brother's theory, which means that he's going to be even better than his big brother. Now, no one actually expects that. I'm just kind of trying to wish cast that, but I think he is hopefully he's going to be part of this next group of outfielders that move relatively quickly through the system and can, get over this weird inability to develop outfielders that we've seen with the Cleveland Guardians. Hopefully Stephen Kwan kicked off a change there, and it's going to be, the Delators and the Chourios who can go through and keep going. As much as I do like some of the other players in the system, I got to stick with those elite talents, and I'm going to also take Ralphy here and make him an outfielder. Just because he also gives me, like, I like Baz. I think he's like I don't know if I want to say a 5-tool guy, but he's going to do a bit of everything. Maybe he's like 55 power instead of 60. But I don't have with Chourio and with Baz like a thumper. So putting Ralphie here, we'll have to see how the draft moves out. Maybe I move him to first later on. He does give me some flexibility in this role, but taking Ralphie here gives me some pop, gives me one of the top. Now I have 3 of the top 5 prospects in the system by my standards. So I just couldn't resist.
Yeah, and the ability for Ralphie to play the outfield. We talked a little bit about this on Tuesday's show where we talked about, will he be the future at first base? Will he be an outfielder? I think you and I both agree Ralphie does have a legitimate chance to play the outfield. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the most likely outcome for him, but I think there's enough there. And this is also a kid, too, I think is the character is high here, and I enjoyed talking to him last year. In Lake County. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what year 2 brings. Remember, this is a kid who 2 years ago was just in high school, and he was playing a full major league or minor league season for the first time. I can't tell you what a big jump that is for any player. Like, the only guy it wasn't a jump for is Travis Bazana, because the guy lives and sleeps and eats and breathes baseball. So, but Velasquez is good in that way too. And Chourio, I'm excited about too. I definitely agree with you there. I think he's my number 3 on my list, but hoping he grows into more power. He had some good exit velocities in the spring breakout game too. I'm trusting that Hanau, for me, is going to have enough pop in the order to be.
I think he does. I agree.
I think I'm not saying is he number 4. I mean, he hit number 4 in the spring breakout game, but is he going to be a middle of the order hitter? I think we're talking more of like a number 2 hitter in the order, maybe a number 3. We'll see. I definitely have. I think there's enough pop there to hit in the middle of the order. So I guess if that's true, I'm going to load up on contact here, and I'm just going to go down the line of my list. I had Doughty at 5. I have Cooper Ingle 6, and I'm not going to pass up on Cooper Ingle here. From a hitting standpoint, this is a guy who makes a ton of contact. And are the exit velocities, the best? They're not. They're okay. And he's not a guy who is actually going to hit for a lot of power. Like, we had him on the show last year, right? If you didn't listen to that, go back and listen to the Cooper Ingle interview. He was great. he does know how to pick his spots to hit the ball to his pull side and in the air. But it's not something he's focused on. Like, he's still going to go out there and try to drive the ball back up the middle. But I have Cooper Ingle as a high probability contact hitter, guy who's going to draw walks, and he's going to be the leader of the staff too. I think, like, the Guardians put so much emphasis on defense on catcher. I think the probability of Cooper Ingle at least being a backup catcher, like, I don't know if he's going to hit lefties. I think we'll have to find out. But I have enough confidence in Cooper Ingle to be like a long-term, even a platoon catcher at the very least, because I think he'll hit righties good enough, and he's a leader on the
perfect place
field.
for a platoon. Like, your catcher, you don't want to play every day anyway, so platoon catcher really isn't a net negative in the grand scheme of things.
Not at all. Not if you have a David Fry in your system, right? Like, that's the kind of thing you need to pair with Cooper Ingle. The calls for Cooper Ingle this year are going to be interesting. If he starts the year at Akron really good, and Bo Naylor continues to struggle, 2026 will be an interesting conversation. So count me in on the helium rising on Cooper Ingle.
And who is your next selection?
I have another pick. I have another pick. Boy, after this, it gets really interesting because I've already taken Doughty. I've already taken Ingle. I could keep going down my list here. Ooh, am I going to skip over the guy with the pure stuff? Am I going to go with the helium guy?
No Chase Delata yet either.
He's still there. I'm going to buy into the hype here a little bit. I'm going to take Parker Messick.
Darn you. He's going to be my next pick, honestly. You get to be the hoser. I don't get him 3 years in a row.
I'm going to buy into the hype a little bit here. I think the added velocity for Messick really raises the profile. And coming into the year, I still have Peterson over Messick on my list because I think Peterson has better overall command, but that breakout game, man, best command I've ever seen from Parker Messick. If Parker Messick is sustaining that command that he had in the breakout game, if he's sustaining that velocity, which, is a tough ask through the whole season, he's, again, not the thing we like about Peterson is he's 6'5" and he repeats his delivery well, and it's a simpler delivery. Messick does have a lot more moving parts and doesn't have the body type as far as Peterson, but I don't know, the stuff was so good. He was challenging hitters, and I'm buying the hype right now. I could easily see Parker Messick as a top 10 prospect in the system by the end of the year if he's not already. He's not right now for me, but he could be.
Yeah, he's 11th for me on mine. So, but yeah, that's the one where I was sitting there like that. I debated taking him over Ralphy. I was trying to hold back, but I think with you
got 2 picks coming up.
I do.
So we'll see who Jeff comes back with now that I took my Messick off the board. I took Cooper Ingle off the board. There's catchers to go and there's pitchers to go. This is a deep system. So we're going to keep drafting the prospects, putting our teams together. We hope you'll keep listening on today's Locked On Guardians.
So if you were watching Tuesday's show, I drank the whole thing. Like, this is my Just Ingredients smoothie. I started it during the last show and it's done. I finish it off. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein power electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. I have a gluten issue. These are all gluten-free. They let you know on the bag. My son's allergic to eggs, egg-free. It's just, you need that peace of mind. It's nice to be able to look at it and see that it's safe. Now, of course, I'm not going to give it to my 3-year-old, but for me, it works great. Like I said, it tastes great. I don't like pea protein normally. I clearly like it. I drank this whole thing in a show. It's got a good texture. Sometimes I know that's an issue, and I just think it's a fantastic product. I am likely to offer more of Just Ingredients. So visit justingredients.com/Bryce Harper and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off your first order. And for more wellness tips, follow @Just Ingredients on Instagram.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Your Cleveland Guardians every day here on Locked on Guardians. All right, Jeff, let's go to it. Your next 2 picks here. You gotta.
Well, I gotta get a pitcher. This has been team offense so far, and Austin Peterson. Like, I love Messick, but I've also been running with Peterson as a guy for a long time. I know he wasn't as strong in the breakout game. There's a lot of great signs. There's a lot of great performance. I have kind of 4 guys kind of near the top pitching wise. Question is, how much do I want to gamble? I like quite a bit of the pitching in system, so I'm not as concerned there. And I think at this point, I know I get accused of being a hater, but I have 5 guys in tier 1. I said maybe 6 guys in tier 1. So I think I have to take Chase DeLauder. Like, he is the best player available. So I get an outfield with Chase, Chourio, and Ralphy, and that's going to be hard to top. But like, as much as people are like, oh, I'm not a believer of this or that, like, the physical tools are there. Even if that dude is a platoon outfielder, if he can stay healthy, he's going to make an impact in that role. I mean, Jim Thome was a platoon guy for how many years early on to start his career? Sometimes it takes a while. And even if it doesn't come together and there's a lot of risk with DeLauder, it's like the physical traits are enough to make him a special player. I got a pitcher. I know I need more, but I can't ignore a guy in my top tier. I just can't.
Yeah, I hope he's not the Adam Miller or Daniel Espino of, like, he's better more than Daniel Espino, but like, I hope he's not the Adam Miller, because Adam Miller got as high as he did and just never was the same thing over and over for him too. It was the finger. So hopefully he's not the Adam Miller of hitters.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got one more pick here before it rolls back.
No, because I took Peterson.
You were taking Peterson. Okay.
Yeah, Peterson. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm with Peterson and DeLauder. And it's back to you.
Okay. Yeah, you made that a very quick pick there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like Peterson a lot. He's just a little bit older, and I guess I'm kind of changing my mind on him a little bit, but I'm still a big fan. I just think maybe the upside's more back of the rotation here. All right. I don't have a lot of bats. I have 2 bats, and you have 4 already. So I guess I need to go bat here. I know he's having a tough spring, but as far as bats in the system, I got to go with Juan Brito. I still believe in Brito's future. I don't think he's a long-term second baseman. He's certainly not a long-term second baseman in this system with Travis Bazana coming, but I still believe in the bat long-term. I think he makes enough contact. He's got a good enough approach at the plate. He puts the ball in the air to the pull side. He might be able to play left field. He might be able to play first base. He might be a DH. That doesn't matter. The bat is the thing to look at here. And is he going to be a great guy to play first base long term? Probably not, but I believe in the bat enough too. And maybe he's a DH. Maybe that's fine. Maybe there's some outcome there where he's like not Luis Arez, but he's a guy who the bat's good enough to carry him as a starter for a couple of years anyway. So I'm low on Brito than I was a year ago, maybe, but I'm still high enough on him to buy here. And then I guess I got Brito there. So in the system at this point, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna keep loading up on pitching. I took Braylon Doughty a little bit. I have to go with my guy Joey Oakie. I was a big Joey Oakie guy in the draft a year ago. I really wanted Cleveland to take him. I love the slider. I love the fastball. I love the arm angle. Also, another good athlete. This is the guy who was a great basketball player in high school. So love the guys that are good athletes. Love the guys that are going to focus on baseball for the first time. I know high school pitching has not been Cleveland's specialty for a long time. I took 2 high school pitchers. I think I'm going to say it now. This is the draft class that turns it around. This is going to be a good draft class of high school pitchers for the first time in a long time.
And if it doesn't, it's because they traded a bunch of them because of that's what they
did. That's fine too. I'm going to count the value. If they
I agree.
One of these guys for a right fielder this year that really helps them in the playoffs, I'm counting it as a win.
I'm going to go with another recent guy here. I have Cantillo pretty high, but I'm actually going to go with Josh Hartle here, just because I think there's some ceiling, and they got their pocket picked. They liked this guy a lot. This was someone they went out of their way to bring in. Coming into the year, some people had him as the number 1 college pitcher. I know MLB.com did. Great secondary stuff. He maybe chased velocity, tried to do some things, and he just got away from himself. But I think the way they targeted him speaks volumes, because we talk about players and when a guy gets targeted by an organization. So I think that he is someone that I have been a really big proponent of, and I think that it's they have a lot of interesting players in the system. And going out and adding him, I think, is it's a bet on doing what they're able to do. And then while I'm at it, I'm just kind of looking at my list here. It's like I have one player left from my top 10, and that's Joey Cantillo. So I'm going to go back-to-back pitchers here with Cantillo and Hartle, two lefties. Can Cantillo stay healthy? Can he find the strike zone regularly? Because if he can do both those things, he's probably the ace of my staff.
Yeah, he might be at this point too. And I mean, out of all the guys we've picked so far among pitchers, like outside of Braylon Doughty, I think Cantillo has the highest upside, right? Like I think he's got more upside than Oakie and Messick and Hartle and Peterson. It's just the health and the strikes. The stuff is fantastic. The stuff plays at the major league level. I'd be very curious to see where things go for him this year. All right, I'm looking at my roster here. I still need some bats. I'm not really loving the bats where I have at this pick. I guess I need a corner guy at this point. I'm not going to reach into the bag for the corner just yet. God, I have to move all the way down my list for this. No, I'm going to stick to the top of my list. I'm going to stick to the top of my list. I'm going to go CJ Kafis at first base here. I know I have him in the top 10, and I slightly feel like I've been down on him lately because I'm kind of worried about the overall profile. He's got to put the ball in the air, and he's got to pull it. There's so much pressure on the bat for CJ Kafis, but I think this is a guy who's going to draw walks. I think he's going to be a 20 home run hitter. I think he's going to play good defense at first. There's value there. I don't know if we're talking about a long-term like stud there, but I think he's pretty solid. To me, I said this on the Tuesday show, I think the value for Cleveland with CJ Kafis is trade bait because you have Mansarda, you have Ralphy, but I think at first base, I think there's a good chance that they need guys that other teams want. Hopefully other teams want him in the trade. I guess after that, I got to keep rolling down my list here. Give me Luis Morejo. I'm gonna probably pick your pocket a little bit here. Yeah. I'm gonna go Luis Morejo at third base. This is not a guy who I think is going to play third base long term. I consider him at first base, but the data on him has just been so good so far. Like there is some swing and miss, but he hits for power, and he hits for power that's very rare in this system for a guy his age. So this is an upside play, but I'm excited to see what Morejo does. He should have a full season at Lynchburg this year.
No, I mean, honestly, he would have probably been in my next pick selection as a first baseman instead, but I agree with everything you're saying. He's very high ceiling, very exciting. One of those guys you should earmark to check out if you can. I'm going to take Welpin Francisco as my shortstop here. Just a well-known name. You and I struggle sometimes without a rank. Is he just Rocchio again? Is he something more? He had a nice swing. I was going back and watching some highlights, and people tell me during the game, and a lot of people I trust really like him. So at this point in the draft, I think he makes a lot of sense. And then as I'm going through my rankings, like it's like, do I go reliever? What do I want to go with here? It feels like actually a pretty good relief group. Do I go with there's a lot of players, a lot of positions. And I guess if I'm looking through this, I need a third baseman. I'm gonna go with Angel Martinez, who's also a guy who's in my top 20. And I think he.
Oh, see, I don't have Angel in my rankings because he exhausted his rookie eligibility.
Okay,
yeah.
Then I need to update my rankings. So I need something else, and I need to change my rankings here. So I didn't realize he exhausted a year ago. I thought I saw him ranked by somebody, and that's my fault. So instead, that means if I'm going through and looking at these rankings, now I get to he and ha a bit. So I apologize. I might actually go with another outfielder and move Ralphy to first because the first base grouping is pretty weak at this point. I do have some outfielders I like, but I think rather than wasting everyone's time, I'm going to go and take another pitcher because I only have 3 starters. And at this point, give me Tugboat. He is not my highest rated starter. But I'm going to go with it for the memes. He is my second highest rated starter left. So I'm going to go with the Tugboat here. He's got great secondary offerings. He has deception. If he can add velocity, which I think is, again, possible, he's made a lot of improvements in his physique, but there's still more room. And I think the ability to add, if he adds velocity, his prospect profile just zooms up.
Yeah, it's always the thing with Guardians prospects for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump down my list a little bit too. I'm going to fill out my pitching staff. Give me Michael Kennedy. Michael Kennedy to me
My
feels
number one
like
pitcher left.
Yeah, I think he feels like a high school version of Logan Allen. I know Logan Allen didn't have the best year last year, but I think there's still time to go on him. And Kennedy to me has like a 3-pitch mix. He's the same size, throws strikes, and athletic. So Michael Kennedy, who came over in the Pittsburgh trade with the Spencer Horowitz after they got him from Toronto. After that, I guess I got to go outfield after this. I'm gonna go George Valera. I know he's not healthy right now, so this is a big risk, but I don't have any outfielders yet, and I don't know. Like, I don't think right field's totally settled right now for Cleveland. It's going to be a while for Chase DeLauder and Brennan and Noel. Don't excite. I'm not sold that they're going to hold it down all year. If Valera can get healthy and have a couple of good weeks or a month in AAA, no reason not to use him if they're not tearing it up at the major league level. So I'll take Valera, and this is his last chance for Cleveland. This is it.
I'm kind of looking at it. We each need one starter, and I got 2 starters I kind of like, so I don't need to go there. I don't need to grab a catcher. When I'm looking at relievers, Andrew Walters still qualifies, right? So
Sure does, yeah.
I feel like I got to grab Walters for one of my picks here because he's like one of the last. I think he's the last of the guys in my top 20, not counting Angel Martinez or Angel, I should say, because I got to change and adapt that. So he is gone at this point. And then, I'm having a big internal debate about which outfielder I like because I am going to put Ralphy at first just because I don't really love any of the other first base options. And I also need to still find a third base option, if I'm being very honest as well. So when I go and look at my ranks very quickly, I know I don't love my third base choices, if I'm being honest. I don't know.
Just take the best player available, man. Go best player available. At a position you haven't filled yet.
You know what? I do have one. I said there's 2. I'm gonna go with my top starter. I'm gonna go Chase Mobley. It's a bet on ceiling. It's a bet on upside. I think if everything breaks right, he has a chance he could be the best pitcher from last year's class. He's giant. He has velocity. But he also could be that guy who never gets above high A. It's a big risk, big reward profile. So I'm gonna go with him right now. Not the highest rated player on my board, but I am trying to game it a little bit, also knowing who is at other spots.
Yeah, I like Mobley a lot. They paid him a lot in the 10th round. Hopefully he is ready to go this year.
They gave him the exact amount they saved from Baz. Baz's savings allowed them to get Mobley.
Yeah, they paid him some money. I'll dip into the bullpen here a little bit. I'll go off the board a little bit for bullpen. I'm going to take Rafe Schlesinger in my bullpen because I think Cleveland's going to develop him as a starter this year. But I look at the characteristics of that slider. I look at the arm angle. I'm a big fan of what he looks like. I think there's a very potential there for like a Josh Hader, Andrew Miller type with him. So give me Rafe Schlesinger as the possible bullpen guy. I will go back to outfield here, and I will fill up the other corner of my outfield. I'm going to go with Alphonsine Rosario. I know I'm not as high on Rosario because I think the swing is a little bit grooved. Where
it was one of the 2 I was talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't really reach some parts of the zone with the swing. It kind of scares me, but the power potential and the speed potential, like it's a 2020 potential outfielder with athleticism. So I think he's a fun ceiling to watch this year.
Yeah. So with me moving Ralphie, that means like my other outfielder. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab Nick Mitchell. Might be a bit of a surprise, and other people might be saying like, who? If you're forgetting, he's the other player they got with Spencer Horowitz. He had smaller school guy before he last year went to Indiana, which is very quietly becoming a very good developmental program. I think they're going to have 2 top 30 picks this year. And, he just does everything right. So I think he had a really good year. Nice things, young for his level, a chance for growth with that profile. And then with me having done that at catcher, I debate this a little bit because Huff is so good defensively, but I'm going to go with Cozart, who's also good defensively, but has much higher offensive ceiling.
I like Cozart a lot. I think there's a chance he's very much Austin Hedges. That'll be interesting, but the upside's there. The bloodlines are there. He caught Cody Allen in high school.
His brother's a really good pitching prospect for 26, I want to say.
Okay, interesting.
High school kid, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I have one starting pitcher I need left. This is
and I need one reliever.
Yeah, this is a complicated choice at this point. I still need another outfielder, and I still need we still need utility. I still need another reliever. So
and I need utility. So yeah, I need two guys.
Yeah, there you go. I'm still going to go down. Eric Sabrowski is going to be my other reliever. I've taken two lefties. I know he's hurt to start the year. I hope he's going to be okay. There's a very good chance he ends up. If he has a third Tommy John, it's probably over. I don't know any guys that had three Tommy Johns, but he was so nails for them in the playoffs last year. I can't ignore it. All right, so I filled out my bullpen there with Sabrowski. So let me go back to, I'll take the outfielder right here. I'll take Petey Halpin. I know Halpin. It's probably going to be a defense and speed outfielder. Like, we're not talking about a guy who's going to start, but this is a guy who might provide value on the bases. He's going to give you defense. There's some pop in the bat if he can get to it more. I know Cleveland thought they were a little bit aggressive in putting him in Double-A 2 years ago. He's going to need to continue to grow, but he's a high school player and he's still on the 40-man roster. So give him a chance to fill that role as a defense and speed outfielder.
So I need third base, utility, and extra reliever. I'll start my extra reliever if Magnus Ellerts. I mean, I just want a Magnus on my team. Like, he's a big dude. He's had good production. Is he the top relief? I mean, I should probably take Nick Enright, but I already went with Tugboat. Now I have Tugboat and Magnus, and I feel like I can sell that as a TV show somewhere. Tugboat and Magnus. He's a legit prospect. Like, he's not all just fun with memes and names. I know Zips liked him quite a bit. And third base, I haven't grabbed anyone. It's a really weak position in the system. So Alex Mooney, there's really no other choice. So let's put him there because there's just not. I honestly don't know who else I would put. When you went through and took Morejo, that was a smart move. Even though I was going to take Morejo as a first baseman, it's still third base is kind of a mess.
It is. All right, round out my team here. I'm going to go to utility. I am going to take Jonathan Rodriguez just for the upside there. I mean, there's still a chance that Rodriguez plays more this year. He's proven all he can prove in the minors. We're not really that high on him because we don't believe that he's going to translate to the majors. But like, again, if right field's a mess, if Brennan and Noel don't get it together and Valera's not healthy and DeLauder's not healthy, if Rodriguez is hitting in AAA, I don't see why Cleveland shouldn't give him a shot if they need to figure out someone to handle right field. I just wonder how long down the line that's going to be. For my last pitching spot, I'm going to go a little further down the list. I think he's healthy for this year. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take Jacob Zibin for the second year in a row. I know he didn't pitch last year, but as far as ceiling goes, Jacob Zibin has the highest ceiling left in the pitching prospects on this list. Obviously, Daniel Espino exists, but he may not pitch this year. So give me Zibin for all the upside. And time's not on his side, so maybe he'll end up being a reliever, but I'll take the upside here for the second year in a row. You got one pick left, Jeff.
Yeah. My utility came down to a pair of outfielders, Jonah Evan-Kula or Guy Limsicum. Evan-Kula has performed, well at all the levels. Litzicum, I'm looking at more of a bench bat. I'm gonna go with Litzicum, who's been a solid performer, but brings a lot of speed to the team. Like, I get a solid pinch runner with Limsicum, so I'm putting him as my utility guy.
Fair enough. Okay, we went really over on time for this draft. Hope you guys enjoyed it quite a bit. Those are up in the folder for the Insiders to read. I'll clip a screenshot of this one for everyone to read so they can look back at it. But if you want to look at all 3 years of the draft, that's readily available for all of our insiders in the Google Drive. Make sure you sign up to be an insider. Make sure you come back tomorrow for tomorrow's episode. We will dig into the Guardians outfield. Are they finally going to get a 20 home run outfielder in 2025? We'll talk about that tomorrow.
For those who are curious, Cody Huff, Doug Nikhazy, and Dylan DeLuca, my highest rated players, and then Franco Alamon not taken. So there's still, and that just again speaks to the depth. We've already gone so long though. So I just want to say, hey, do your part. You know what to do. You know how to help us out. Make sure you are commenting below. Your comment question of the day while I find the correct end clip. What Helium player are you most excited by? And also, who won the draft? Of course, that's the more important question. Thank you all for joining us to all of our everydayers. Rate and review, download daily, iTunes review, all of that fun stuff. And go Guardians, go.